but you'll ask every day, how's school? You know, how's school? How was your day, sweetie? The most asked, least answered question around the world. One wittier writer than I said, when children hear that question, how was school today? They hear, tell your mother an entertaining story of high grades. Not everybody can tell it. So I had a mother bring her 9-year-old son to this talk when I was giving it once at Concord Carlisle Regional High School, just outside Boston. And whenever kids drag to my talk, I go over, if I spot them, and say, can I call on you? I hope you have a little, you know, a game or an iPad or something so you don't have to listen to all this, but this is not for kids. But this little boy was named Teddy. He was in 3rd grade, and he said I could call him. So I asked Teddy, I said, does your mother ask you every day how school was? And he said, yes. And I said, and what do you tell her? He said, I tell her it's okay, or it's fine. And I said, do you see, because I could see, do you see that makes your mother sad? Because her face had fallen. And he looked sad too. He didn't want to disappoint his mom. And he nodded, yes, he could see that made his mother sad. And I said, well, why don't you tell your mother more about your school day? And he looked at his mother, and he looked at me, and he gave me that look that kids look sometimes when they're going to tell you something big. They're not sure you can take it. I said, Teddy, you know, really, we'd like to know, why don't you tell your mother more about your school day? And he said, there's not that much she can do about it. 9 years old. Not that much she can do about it, right? I'm the one who has to go and do 3rd grade every day. So let me ask you, when you were 15 years old and in high school, what percentage of your day, academic, social, extracurricular, your daydream life, what percentage of your day did your mother know about? Put a number to it. Nothing? Nothing? Your mother knew 0? 5%? 5%? I gave this talk earlier in the day. Somebody came up with 10%, right? And I asked her, I said, if your mother had known twice as much about your day in school, would it have made any difference? And the answer is no. Right? Is that true? Does that ring true to you? I mean, I once was doing this with an audience, and the mother said, I know 80% of my child's day. And I said, you know, by the ethics of the American Psychological Association, I'm not allowed to diagnose delusions in public. But that's completely delusional. Hurt her feelings, but it's delusional. You don't know 80% of your child's day. You don't. You can't possibly. And one of the things about school is you have less and less and less information. And they're having a more and more and more complex journey. And if you try and simplify it or give them the Chamber of Commerce talk, you know, they think, ah, well, yes, sir.
So how do we help our precious child if we don't ask them about it?
You have to ask them, but I would ask them, are you getting enough sleep? Are you satisfied with it? I had a friend who called once, and his son had come home with a big project in middle school. And the father, who had gotten his PhD at University of Chicago with me, a fine, fine student, his son had come home with this project, and he'd gotten a B on it. And the father had immediately wished that his son had gotten an A on it. And he said, so you got a B. And his son looked right at him and said, that's a good grade, isn't it, Dad? And the father didn't know what to say. What should you say? When he called me, I said, why don't you ask him if he's satisfied with it? Okay? Are you satisfied with it? Son, do you feel like it's the best you could do? But your reaction, I wish you'd gotten an A. In this family, we all get A's. Is it true? Well, probably not. But in any case, you need to ask a child to evaluate him or herself on their journey and to find out what their experience was. He might say, no, I'm a little disappointed in a B. But if you're disappointed in the B, that's less motivating than if he's disappointed in the B, right?